Greetings and welcome to the OKC Edge Halloween Special. I'm really stoked about this episode. Got my candy and treats, I got my drink, so I'm all ready. Stay tuned, you'll enjoy it. We got lots of cool guests on here this year. Have fun. I know I will.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Blazer. I'm a local cosplayer. This is my death outfit that I wear. If you went to New World Comics on Free Comic Book Day, I was there as Death as well. Tonight I'm going to be showing treats that are Halloween based, like cheese eyeballs and mummy dogs. And then some apple mouths, monster mouths for kids, and some mud pudding. For this first one, we are going to do the mummy dogs. And what I have laid out are croissant rolls. Just a regular can of the croissant rolls, roll them out, separate them out, cut them into strips, get your hot dog, and you just wrap it around like a mummy with the bandages. Be sure to leave a spot for your eyes. You can use whatever you'd like for the eyes. I'm using the pimentos from Green Olives. And whenever you have it wrapped up how you like, set it on a non-stick cookie sheet. Have your oven set to 375. My oven runs cold, so I have it set to 400. And you just put it in for about 15 minutes. Whenever it's done, it'll come out, and you can put your little eyes on it, like on this one. And now it has little eyes poking out at you. That's it. Will that help a little bit?
Yes.
For the next bit, we're going to do cheese eyes. Great for an appetizer or snack platter at an event, Halloween party, whichever you choose, or just great to make for family and fun. And you can get cheese balls. You can either make them yourself, or you can get the Baby Bell cheese, and those are pretty easy. They're already in a ball, and they just peel open. And you have an eyeball shape. And then you can get, some people prefer black olives. I prefer green olives. You can just get those and stick them on for the iris. And for kind of a spooky look, you can put the pimentos in there if you would like for the pupil of the eye. If you want to get really creative with it, you can get a toothpick and some red food coloring and kind of give it the bloodshot eye look with the food coloring. it's done, it has the bloodshot eye look for a more spooky take on it. Alright, for this next bit, I'm going to do some mud pudding, and usually I get some chocolate pudding. Sometimes you can get the double food. That one's one of my favorites for the puddings. And then some Oreos, and you crumble them up, make your dirt with it, and you got some gummy worms to put in your dirt, and some eyeballs to, have popping out at you. And I just have the instant pudding. You can do the stuff that requires the baking, but what's the fun in that if you don't get to eat your treat? I am mixing together the milk and the instant pudding to get it even, make sure all the powder chunks are dissolved, especially along the sides. And then go ahead and let it get a little firm by putting it in the fridge for a little bit. While that's firming up, go ahead and make your dirt by splitting the Oreos apart and taking the cream off and sticking that in a bowl. You can, have a bowl full of cream if you want. And then I usually just break them up into 4s to make it easier to break up with a spoon. And then I use the spoon and I kind of press it against the wall of the bowl and kind of grind it up and make it kind of look like dirt. Once you get it broken up, looking like that, you can use it as dirt, and you have some gravel, rocky type structures in there. After it's gotten firm, to where you can kind of tilt it around and not have it fall all over the place, you can just scrape your dirt in, cover it around. You can put your gummy eyeballs in if you'd like. They did not want me getting into those. you want, you can even put some candy corn in there. Because what's Halloween without a little bit of candy corn? And when it's done, you got some eyeballs and worms just crawling around in there. And for this one, we're gonna do little monster mouths. The apples will be the lips, marshmallows will be the teeth, peanut butter's gonna kind of hold it together. And it's a nice treat if you want to be healthy. And I just cut apple up into little slivers. Get a little bit of peanut butter. Kind of spread it around to where it'll stick to itself. It's going to be the glue holding it together. And then you get your marshmallows. And you do little teeth for them. Smush it down like that, and smush it down like that, and then you get some monster teeth with some nice ugly green lips to go with it. Sorry. Jello brains, if you can find the brain molds at Target, that's where I got mine. It's from the Brain Freeze is what it's called. You can use it for Jello though. And what you do is you mix up your Jello. I chose the Jolly Rancher Cherry because it's tasty. You mix it up and you do a cold mold on there, which is you have some ice cubes in your cool water whenever you mix it up. And from there, you mix it around with the hot water that has your dissolved Jello in there. What you do is you do a quick mold on there, and you use ice water to solidify it quicker, and you mix that ice water in with your hot water that has your gelatin in there, and then you pour it into the molds and you put it in your refrigerator. Give it about 4 hours to solidify, and whenever you have it solid to where you like it, get a knife, run it around the edge to loosen it up, run it with hot water, and it will plop out as a gelatin brain. Thank you for participating with me, and I hope you enjoyed the treats that were created today, and eat up.
See you there. Persimmon and I were just celebrating the ghoulish Halloween spirit. Won't you join us? I believe I have what you're looking for right here. A ghoulish installment of the Halloween spirit. All right here in this ancient tome. In this 21st of centuries. Don't you have something you could be doing right now instead of sitting there watching? Perhaps make a new brew of hemlock for our guests. And I shall read one of my favorite poems of all time, The Raven. Once, upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. 'Tis some visitor, I'd muttered, tapping at my chamber door, only this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak, damn you, Persimmon! I am in the middle of reading this ghoulish poem for Halloween. I don't need you stealing my thunder. Where was I? Ah, yes. Distinctly I remember it was in bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books successive sorrow for the lost Lenore. For the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. Forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door." This it is, and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping." "Nevermore." "And so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wandering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token. And the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my sorrow within me burning. Soon again I heard tapping, something louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my lattice. Let me see there, what there it is in this mystery explore. Let my dreams still be a moment in this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Only here I flung the shutter win, with many a flirt and flutter, in the step that stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance he made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perhaps, perched upon my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas above my, over there, it was like my chamber door, but slightly different, but it was there, perched and nothing more. Then the ebony bird, beguiling my sad fancy into smiling by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. "Though my crest be shorn and shaven, thou," I said, "art sure no craven, ghastly grim and ancient raving, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore," quoth the raven. "Nevermore." Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door, was such a name as Nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on that placid bust, spoke that one word, as if its soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather then he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before, on the morrow he will leave me as my hopes flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. Startled at the stillness, broken by reply so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of nevermore. But the raven, still beguiling my sad soul into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. My seats are very cushioned in my castle. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking, nevermore. This I sat, engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushioned velvet lining, the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining, with the lamplight glowing over, she shall press, nevermore. Then, methought, the air grew denser, perfumed in an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled upon the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God had lent thee, by these angels he has sent thee, respite, and nepenthe of my memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forgot this lost Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, where the tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate and all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul within sorrow laden, if the distance aiden, it shall clasp a salted maiden whom the angels name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, but quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that our sign of parting, bird or fiend? I shrieked up starting, get thee back to the tempest in the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit my bust above my door. Take thy beak from my heart, and take thy form from off of my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamp, light o'er him streaming, throws his shadows upon the door, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Oh, now hurry! Flee! Hurry! I'm changing! Leave before I kill again!
Come here. dreamed that it could look like this for this special occasion. Oh, and I guess I never dreamt that this night would happen. Actually happened that I would be here on this Halloween, and this year, matter of fact. But here it is, Count Gregor's special tonight. Count Gregor's Nightmare Theater. And
It's the great pumpkin! He's rising up out of the pumpkin patch! What happened? Did I faint? What did he leave us?
What's the magic words?
Abracadabra.
There you go.
Oh, thank you very much. Look, Persimmons, a caramel for you.
That was usually...
She moved. That's a good sign.
Yep, that's usually the kids' kind of tradition. My parents would always throw a ridiculous house party on Halloween and like rent out margarita machines and fog machines and invite the whole entire neighborhood. And by the end of the night, complain that everybody robbed their stuff. That was your Halloween tradition.
I got to go trick-or-treating and...
Trigger-treating?
Trick-or-treating. That's what we called it. And most of the time, as a child, I was the devil. Because you got a
Really?
pitchfork. And yeah, I thought that was cool. So most of the times, I was Satan or Lucifer, if you will, for Halloween. And yes, and then the tradition was to get as much chocolate candy as possible. That was the best. Some candies are fine, yeah, whatever. But if one guy was giving out full candy bars, and there was always somebody in the neighborhood who did, I would go and put on my brother's costume and run back over and get another candy bar.
Really?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Diabetes and rotten teeth. Here
I still go trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go trick-or-treating for a long time.
I just need to make sure I do it on Halloween, because when I do it and it's not Halloween, it kind of freaks people out.
We did that as a prank once. I've done that as a prank once. People got really mad.
Yeah.
We dressed up in everything, and they got so pissed. We thought that if we came like 3 days before Halloween, people would like, oh, how cute, and actually give us bona fide candy. It did not work.
We would, there was a party that my mom threw, and they had somehow gotten their hands on a coffin, and it was a metal coffin, actually. And so I drug it into the garage where my room was lurking at the time, and at my little brother, I was like, hey, won't you sleep in this coffin? We'll play vampire. Won't that be fun? Okay. And he got in it, and I'd sit on the lid. And he'd cry and scream in there, and I'm like, we're going to bury you. We're going to bury you.
The real question...
And then so he was, he's scarred. But then he got back in again. And I sat on it again. You put me in there twice. I'm like, you're dumb.
You volunteered
You
the
got
second
in there.
time.
First time I feel bad for you. The second time, dude, that's your bad. I
And
should have
also,
buried you.
What is this about you living in the garage and your younger brother gets to sleep inside?
Well, he got to sleep inside a coffin that night.
There we go. Dense.
Yeah, I love Halloween. My favoriteest of holidays.
That is actually the day that I pretend to have like a Lady Gaga type of day where the whole entire time is just dressing yourself for one occasion. Whole entire day, just painting myself green, not touching anything. Like, guys, I can't move.
Don't touch me.
I am literally fragile as glass right now until a crowd of people see me. It's a vain holiday.
It's the time to kick out the Ouija board, or your jack-o'-lantern.
Your jack-o'-lantern.
Now the original jack-o'-lantern is Irish, and it was a turnip, and it was used by old Jack so he could light his way through hell.
Really? Through
deeds.
hell?
Yes, for his bad deeds.
It's terrible.
It very much was for him. All right. Which is November the 1st. Yes, November 1st is All Saints Day, which is a nice Catholic way of... how are we going to explain all these people celebrating this pagan holiday? Oh, we'll make it a Catholic holiday.
Exactly.
Actually, it's All Saints Day. That's really what it is.
We should dress up like that then.
Now, I wonder, though, if you
Catholics?
believe... As Catholics,
As
we
Pope.
should be...
Oh,
Hey, it's the freaking Pope!
Yeah, I'll walk around like the
Oh,
Pope.
bippity-bopping.
First
It
female
means
Pope.
nothing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
The Pope.
the Pope. I'll have some Givenchy red heels. Be great instead of Louis Vuitton red shoes. We got this.
Yeah. Halloween is, it's awesome that it survived, like, hardcore Christian times, and it's still here, even though they're Christmasing up our Halloween.
Yeah. Now, I went to FedEx, and they only put the Halloween decorations there for a week. And if FedEx is doing it, then there's a problem somewhere.
There is.
Soon there's just going to be fall-only stores. And what I gotta say to that is, if there's like Day of the Devil, Day of the Dead, and people in Mexico really celebrate Halloween down there, we are getting crazy about holidays up here. Celebrate.
The beauty of Halloween is that it's like Saturnalia, where they had like 2 weeks of orgies and bloodlust, and then
That is exactly how Halloween is.
Isn't just October is basically all Halloween, because you get to watch all the spooky movies. Our buddy Mike Walsh airs a scary movie every night in his garage on his big screen.
You get to hold the goblet.
Yeah. Killer Crunk. And, you get to watch all the spooky stuff. There's just this darkness to everything that's fun.
That's how we do it here.
Oh, man, you make the best hemlock.
Thank you.
I'll be dead.
Thank you. Do you know whose skull
I'm dead
that
already.
is? Flava Flav's.
This is Flava Flav's. Mr. Flav's skull didn't work out too well for him.
I pawned the clock.
I enjoy this flavor of love you have here.
So yeah, this is what you get out of Halloween. You're like, oh man, all those weirdos are out especially. What I like is that I'm starting to see people actually dress up all the time and they're not from costume shops.
This is how I dress all the time. Halloween is the only time I can go out and be myself and not have people stare at my wretched soul.
Oh, your soul's not that wretched.
Well, it takes a bowl or two.
It's more vinegary.
Hello there, this is Will again. I decided to do something a little bit funner, or do something that's fun to me rather, which is carve a pumpkin. A lot of my friends this year have actually asked me, because they've seen me post a couple of different pictures of the pumpkins that I've carved, they've actually asked me how I do it. So this is a segment on that, carving a pumpkin. I'm going to show you the cheap, easy ways of doing it. You can buy at Walmart, Big Lots, one of those places, little cheap carving kits. Those are great. Depending on, some of them are better quality than others. The little dollar ones, obviously, you're going to break easy. I actually broke one last year. What I usually use is just to draw the picture. I usually do mine by freehand most of the time. So I use a Sharpie. And then to get the better details of carving, I actually have like an X-Acto knife. This one I got from Target. It seems like a better quality and actually comes with extra blades. So let's get started. Okay, like I said, for the first thing, I like to start out with drawing the actual design or picture I want on there. To me that's a lot easier, so I get one of these big Sharpies, and here we go. So we'll do something more simple. Let's just do a Superman logo, which if you've ever drawn that or not on it, this is obviously a real cheap version of it. You can actually make your own little patterns and trace them yourself, or just do it this way, kind of freehand. So that's just a basic. And what I do next is get the X-Acto knife. And what you do is you carve right there on the line where you drew it. And you don't want to push too hard, so if you push too hard you're going to stab a hole through it. Unless that's the effect you're wanting. But as far as just getting the detail, then you go back right next to it and do another line right there next to it. Like I said, without pushing too hard. then you can actually just pop it out. See? Kind of cool. So this has always been kind of a fun tradition for me, especially the last few years. I used to do at least, about 5 of them at least. It's kind of cool. Apparently that blade is trying to get loose here, so you don't want that. So you push too hard, you'll end up cutting it all the way through, and then you won't get to do as much detail either. Now you can use a knife. It's not quite as safe. You gotta be a little more careful with it too. Otherwise you'll end up cutting yourself. Of course with these you can actually cut yourself because they are really sharp. But because it's such fine detail, you can actually do it a lot easier than trying to use a knife. So it's still going down there and doing each line like that. One next to it, which gets your basic effect line. Of course you trim it to the parameters that you really want it. One more of a 3D effect, you can kind of do a little bit deeper cut. For this one, we're just showing you kind of basic. Really basic. Now, if you're having kids help you, definitely want to be right there to keep an eye on them. Otherwise, they could hurt themselves. Just kind of obvious, but I like to point those things out with being a parent myself. Whenever I have my children join in with me, I like to keep an eye on them really close. Really, the oldest one, he's the one that used to get to use a knife. So, other than that, not really. So then you go to the other part of the design you want, which is right there. Same thing basically. Just cut it up and like that. Mind you, this one won't be a really detailed thing. It's just something a little cheap just to get you started. Give you a little encouragement and all that fun stuff. This is by no means a professional pumpkin carving. You don't want to go too far that time. Trying to do this on film where you can see it really good, it's kind of hard to do too. But I think we'll get away with it. One thing I like to do, whenever I get them actually carved to the said perfection that I want it to, I end up coloring it, so it kind of makes it stick out even more. So, like I said, if it being your first time, just be real careful with it. Take your time, don't rush it. If you rush it, it won't look as neat, and you run the risk of hurting yourself or someone around you. Like that's fun right there. hopefully on the camera you can actually see what's being done a little easier than me talking about it, but this is the basics of it. I've done some where they look really terrible, and I've done some where they look, they turn out pretty cool, which I actually displayed a couple in there for you to see before this actual segment came on. Kind of see a couple basic ones I did this year. That one kind of messed it up a little bit. But nice thing about these blades, you can always correct yourself with them pretty good, pretty easily, for the most part. So you can kind of see the roughness of it there. So it's still following the lines I drew it. That way it turns out at least close to the way I cut it. Sorry, close to the way I drew it, rather. Never going to be exact because you have to be quite the expert of it to do that. Like I said, I don't claim to be an expert at it. I just claim to have fun with it and be creative with it. To me, that's the more important part of it, is just have fun with it. Because otherwise, what's the point of doing it? Got this little triangle right here. There you go. That's the basics of it here. And you, like on this one, you can kind of go out here, kind of angle it when you're cutting it. Kind of go underneath it, you know, kind of make it a little more prominent looking, stick out a little bit more for you. I'm going to do this all the way around just so you can see the idea of what I'm talking about. Like I said, I'm not cutting into it deep, it's just real thin there. But, like I said, it makes it stick out a little bit more for you. And there's your basic pumpkin carving. Hope you enjoyed this, and get you a couple of pumpkins and practice it and try it yourself. You'll find it's real fun to do. Like I said, there's your basic of a pumpkin carving there. You can actually go deeper in right here, and then you can actually cut the top out here, pull it out, and pull out the seeds, and actually make you some pumpkin seeds, which is a really tasty treat. The way you do those, pull the pumpkins out, clean the pulp off of it, and put it in the oven. Spray it down with some oil or something like that, and cook it for on 300, about 350. For about 45 minutes, and it gets them good and crispy. Hope you enjoy and have lots of fun doing this. Happy Halloween.
My name is Jeff Provine. I do the ghost tour down at OU, and OKC Edge asked me to tell a story from my new book, Haunted Norman, Oklahoma. So the story I want to tell goes way, way back, even before Norman was a city. In the 1870s, there was a group of buffalo hunters who set up an outpost down south of East 48th Street. So today it's a big hill all covered with trees, and it's got a nice big cell phone tower on top of it. But back then it was the only hill and gave people up there a view about 20 miles in every direction. So the Blue Brothers were the guys heading up the outpost. They put a little farm up there. They had a garden patch and a couple of buildings, and made their money through buffalo hunting. So, which they pretty much cleared out the area. They would send buffalo skins back to Anadarko in a wagon load, just one after the other, which according to legend, they had other means of getting some money. We were pretty close to Indian Territory border, so they say that at night these guys were cattle rustlers and would sneak out to the absentee Shawnee and grab some and run back. But there was nothing really proven one way or another about that. The darker legend about them was that since they were the only outpost anywhere around, they would attract lonely travelers trying to find a place to camp out for the night. They would invite these guys in and take care of them. And then sometime during the night, as they slept, the two brothers would take rocks and then bash their heads in, and whatever the travelers had been carrying was theirs to pillage. So that was a legend. Either way, everybody agreed that they were pretty well-to-do. They had minimal costs and making a pretty nice collection of money. So, which also, according to legend, they kept all their money stashed in saddlebags in gold and silver coins, just to make sure that if anything happened, they could leave really quickly. So, before the land run, there in about 1874, so quite a few years before, they had a posse running through cleaning out all the outlaws that had kind of set up territory in the land. And the two very different versions of the story. The first version, where the posse came up and arrived and found these guys, which after some questioning were able to discover the graves of these people they had murdered, and the stolen cattle. And so the brothers took off and they grabbed their coins and ran out into what is now Lake Thunderbird, but then was Little River, and two little tributary creeks, and Jim Blue and then Dave Blue. One was gunned down and then the other. So the other version of the story has the posse coming in, and the Blue brothers were a little nervous about this, so they both ran off and tucked their saddlebags full of coins underneath a rock ledge near the Little River. So then when they got back, it was about the same time the posse was there. So the posse knew that these guys had some money, so they started talking and saying, hey, you know, it's pretty hot out here, we should get a good tip for our work protecting you. And started shaking him down, and then the brothers said, well, we didn't have any money, you know, we can check around here, there's nothing. So the posse then took up to chase and said, all right, you're going to take us where they are. And so the brothers took off down Little River and shot in the backs of one creek and then the other. So in that version of the story, their treasure's still out there, buried underneath a rock, which at this point would be the flooded Lake Thunderbird. So they say that the spirits are out there harassing swimmers who get too close, making sure that they are still safe. So, which a little bit of credence to the story. In the 1930s, that was the Oliphant Farm, which is now the middle part of Lake Thunderbird, and they were out plowing when they came across a big chunk of metal, so which they dug it off and cleaned it up, and it turned out to be an 1870s revolver. So with 2 bullets shot out of the casing, and then 4 more left to go. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and all kinds of stuff. The really spooky one, back in 2006, there was a little boy who was out swimming in Clear Bay when he stepped on something hard in the mud. Thought this was funny, so he dug down and got into it and cleaned it off, and it turned out to be a human skull, and it had a giant hole in the back. So they called the police, which is the right thing to do, and the police looked at it and said, you know, this is about 100 years old, but a little bit outside of our jurisdiction. So they handed it over to the Historical Society, who took a look at it, and they measured the hole and did some forensics and said, you know, this is probably about the caliber hole that a 1870s revolver would have left. So some people said that was one of the Blues, or it could have been one of their other gang members who was possibly led out east away from the treasures and just got him. So whatever the case, dark times here early in Oklahoma's history.
Hello there and welcome back. Stay tuned. So I'm really excited about this next segment. It's an interview with Rocky Gray. If you don't know who Rocky Gray is, I'm sure you know the bands that he's been involved with. For instance, Evanescence, We Are the Fallen, even Living Sacrifice. I know some of you guys out there have heard of them. He actually came out with a Halloween/horror themed sound score album. Everything I've heard of it has been great. He's a very busy guy, so fortunately we were able to get an interview with him, but it was online. Stay tuned, I know you'll enjoy it. First question is, what inspired you to do this album?
When I got into Midnight Syndicate quite a few years ago, that really started the process of me thinking about, I'd really like to do a horror inspired record like this. That's all instrumental, and because I've always really liked the horror movie soundtracks and stuff like that. So, not being so busy with all the bands touring and recording and stuff, I finally got the opportunity to work on that.
I was curious, what was your creative process for this album?
The creative process starts in different ways. It can start out just as a just notes, like, oh, this note is a great start for this cool vibe or something like that, or it can start out with me thinking about what kind of scene I want to set up. Like if it's a chase scene, what to try to put together for that. And that's really how it starts. It's always different. It's just whatever inspires me at the moment. But I could have seen something on a movie that's like, oh, well, I want to do something like that. So that's really cool. I'll do my version of that, and just go from there. It just happens in all kinds of different ways. Just like writing rock songs. It's sometimes it just happens.
I was curious, do you have a favorite track for the album?
I really don't have a favorite song on the record. I really like all the songs. They're all so different that you can't just say, oh, that's the best one, because, well, that's the best one of that kind of song, because there's stuff from the 80s sound and like new modern sounds, and I like all that stuff, so they're all awesome to me. I wouldn't have put them on there if I didn't think they were just cool, really cool songs. So that's what I was shooting for. There was ideas where I was like, that's just not it. So they didn't make it. But every song on the record is my favorite songs. So,
what would you say the hardest part of making the album was?
There really wasn't a hard part about making this record. It was so much fun that I didn't, when I started on it, it was just went for it. There was not a time where I was like, wow, this is tough. I guess the toughest part was, finding a stopping point, because, I would just kept going. But I got other stuff to do too, so I can't put them all on this record. So, so yeah, there's not a hard part really. It was all fun.
Would you say Halloween was a special time for you?
Yeah, Halloween is a special time around here, because I get to finally watch some of the movies I wait all year to watch. I watch so many horror movies and stuff. I got to keep some back that way it makes it a little more special, just for some of them. So yeah, there's a few that I hold off on watching until about September. I'll start watching my movies. The special ones. There's just a few. There's not many, but yeah, and it's fun. It's a good time. Halloween time is always fun.
Do you plan on making more albums like this?
Yeah, I plan on doing more instrumental horror inspired records. Accursed is the first one of hopefully of one every year, doing one, and we'll see what the next one's like after this.
So where can viewers go to download a copy of this album?
Everybody should be able to get a curse from iTunes, CD Baby, Amazon, all those, digitally, and there'll be a few places you can get a physical copy, and I'm working that out right now. So all that stuff will be on my website and stuff. So everybody just check out the website, and it should be really easy to go and grab it.
Projects that you're working on?
Right now there's Solus Deus. The Blood Trail is out right now, and there will be a new Even Devils Die out shortly. It's mixed and should be mastered anytime, so there should be a release date on that soon. So everybody check out that stuff as well, and get accursed. Later.
I just want to say thank you for watching and supporting the OKC Edge. Without you, none of this is possible. So until next time, happy Halloween. See you later.